what if winning a 2-0 international friendly is like actually the perfect smokescreen for a defending World Cup champion that is, well, quietly coming apart at the seams?
That's a great question, honestly.
Right. Because it is June 8, 2026. And if you look at your feed right now, I mean, the soccer world is absolutely buzzing about Argentina.
Oh, yeah. Everyone is talking about it.
Exactly. They just cruise through their opening pre-tournament friendly. And the highlights, they look incredibly sharp. The tactical discipline is there. The squad is smiling.
Yeah, they look great on paper.
Yeah, on paper, it looks like they're just picking up exactly where they left off 4 years ago.
Right. But, public perception is simply riding high on that 2-0 scoreline, and it projects this aura of invincibility.
Which is huge for morale, right?
Oh, massive. It's a massive psychological weapon heading into the group stages. But, I mean, friendlies are curated environments.
Yeah.
They really rarely expose the structural fatigue a team is carrying. When you look at the raw data and the internal assessments, the narrative inside the Argentine camp is vastly different from what we're seeing on those highlight reels.
Which brings us to the mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Because, we've got a stack of notes here pulled directly from the Argentina 2026 World Cup Strategic Scouting Report.
And it is a fascinating read.
It really is. So we are going to look way past that shiny recent victory to expose the hidden internal pressures this squad is really dealing with.
Yeah, we have to.
Because the report points to some severe player fitness issues and massive tactical adaptations they're being forced to make. Specifically because they are operating the post-Angel Di Maria era.
Right, and losing Di Maria, I mean, that is a monumental structural shift.
Yeah, he was huge for them.
Exactly. For years, he was that chaotic spark, that, unbalanced defensive blocks. Defending a World Cup title isn't just simply a matter of rolling out the exact same talent 4 years later.
Right.
It's fundamentally an exercise in managing attrition. I mean, you can't freeze time.
Unfortunately.
Right. So a squad has to evolve mechanically to account for aging legs and departing veterans.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I like to look at a tactical setup like a massive suspension bridge. Or actually, let's use a sports car.
Okay, a sports car.
Yeah, compare looking at a successful sports team to looking at a sleek sports car. The paint job, which is that recent 2-0 win, looks absolutely flawless.
Sure.
But today we are popping the hood to see the fraying wires and the overheating engine components. So looking at Lionel Scaloni's 26-man roster, he is clearly trying to balance the veteran World Cup winners with some high-potential youth.
He is, yeah.
But without Di Maria providing that width and chaos, I mean, how does the machine actually function?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, defending a title is about that evolution, especially with their placement in Group J against Algeria, Austria, and Jordan.
Right, which is going to be physical.
Highly physical. It promises a grueling path just to get to the knockouts. So Scaloni has essentially re-engineered the midfield to take on that extra tension.
The new engine.
Exactly. The scouting report refers to this new setup as the structural engine, and it operates on two distinct tactical poles.
Okay, break that down for me.
So on one side, you have Rodrigo de Paul, currently at Inter Miami. He's deployed on the right side of the central pivot, but his role isn't like a traditional box-to-box midfielder.
Right.
He operates as the team's tactical bodyguard.
Tactical bodyguard. I like that.
Yeah. He's tasked with covering immense amounts of defensive space, essentially sweeping the entire right half space and the wide channel.
Wait, I want to pause on DePaul for a second.
Sure.
If he is vacating the center of the pitch to sweep the right channel, doesn't that leave a massive gap in the middle of the park?
You think so, yeah.
Because how do they maintain possession if one of their central pivots is constantly playing bodyguard out wide? I mean, the math is mathing there.
And that is where the second pole of the engine comes in. That's Alexis Mac Allister over at Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if DePaul is the bodyguard, Mac Allister is the metronome.
Nice.
So while DePaul is putting out fires on the right, Mac Allister is managing the spatial integrity of the entire team.
Wow.
He doesn't just pass the ball, he dictates the tempo. When DePaul wins the ball back out of position, Mac Allister has to instantly calculate new passing angles, receive the ball on the half turn, and beat the first line of the opponent's press, with a single touch.
That is insane. That places an incredible burden on Mac Allister to be basically flawless in possession.
Absolutely flawless.
Because if he loses the ball while DePaul is way out wide, the counterattack is instantly through on goal.
Exactly.
But assuming Mac Allister secures the ball, the report highlights a new name, tasked with actually creating the attack, right?
Yes, the new spark.
Yeah, with Di Maria gone, the breakout star stepping into that creative void is 21-year-old Nicolas Paz, who's been, flourishing in Italy at Como 1907.
He's had a brilliant season.
Yeah. He's listed in the report here as a legitimate frontrunner for the Best Young Player award.
Paz really changes the profile of how Argentina attacks.
How so?
Well, he isn't a pure pacey winger who's just going to beat three men down the sideline.
Right.
He operates between the lines. His specific value to Scaloni is his ability to unlock low defensive blocks.
Oh, we still see a lot of.
Constantly. When an opponent drops 10 men behind the ball and just suffocates the penalty area, Paz is Scaloni's ultimate weapon off the bench.
Yeah.
He drifts into those tight half spaces, uses these rapid one-touch combinations, and just drags defenders out of their rigid shapes to, open up passing lanes.
So Paz is basically the lockpick.
That's a good way to put it.
But he is feeding a strike force that is already built to generate its own chaos. I mean, you have the duo of Lautaro Martinez and Julian Alvarez.
A lethal combination.
Truly. Scaloni has them operating as almost the first line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
Alvarez is basically the engine of the press. He does the relentless, high-intensity sprinting, right? Harassing center backs, forcing turnovers high up the pitch.
He does not stop running.
Exactly. And then Lautaro is the beneficiary. He provides that elite clinical finishing inside the box once the defense makes a mistake.
Yeah, the synergy between Alvarez and Lautaro is exceptional. Alvarez's off-the-ball movement is specifically designed to create those pockets of space that Lautaro just thrives in.
Right.
By relentlessly checking to the ball or darting behind the defensive line, Alvarez forces opposing center backs into these impossible decisions.
Yeah.
Which, leaves Lautaro isolated against a single defender.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to map this all out because I feel like there's a missing piece.
Okay.
We have Alvarez running himself into the ground, pressing the back line.
Right.
We have Lautaro positioned for the finish.
Yeah.
We have McAllister holding the center and cycling possession. And then we have DePaul covering massive amounts of defensive space on the right side.
That's the setup.
So if all 10 outfield players are supposed to work as a cohesive unit, who exactly is DePaul shielding so heavily? Like, why is the right side of the pitch requiring a dedicated tactical bodyguard?
You've hit on the central thesis of the entire scouting report right there.
Really?
Yeah. DePaul is shielding the one player on the pitch who is entirely exempt from tracking back, pressing, or defending transitional counters.
Wow.
He is shielding Lionel Messi.
Of course.
Yeah, this entire structural engine we just broke down, Alvarez is pressing, McAllister's spatial management, DePaul sweeping the flank, it is purpose-built to accommodate their captain's physical reality.
The physical reality.
Right.
Because the history at stake for Messi at this tournament is just staggering.
It's unprecedented.
It is. I mean, he's breaking the all-time tournament record with 26-plus appearances. And he is sitting just 3 goals away from the all-time World Cup scoring record of 16 goals.
3 goals. That's nothing for him.
Right. But history doesn't erase biology. The report explicitly states he is actively managing a left hamstring strain alongside general muscle fatigue.
The physical toll is the absolute defining factor of Scaloni's strategy. I mean, you cannot ask a player in his late 30s carrying a strained hamstring to just run the channels for 90 minutes.
You just can't.
You can't. The explosive, dribbling winger of 2014 or even 2022, that version is gone.
Yeah.
Scaloni has entirely abandoned the idea of deploying Messi in a role that requires sustained sprinting.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The scouting report says Scaloni is shifting him into a role as an advanced, elite playmaker. So he's not a traditional false nine dropping deep into the midfield to link play, right?
Right.
He's operating almost purely in zone 14, that critical space right outside the top of the opposition's penalty box.
Exactly.
He isn't going to try to outrun defenders. He's going to use his unmatched vision to just thread passes through them, releasing Alvarez and Lautaro.
It's brilliant.
Think of it like a chess grandmaster. He barely moves his own pieces, but dictates the entire board, letting the younger pieces do all the aggressive pressing. He's like a gravitational anomaly on the pitch.
A gravitational anomaly. I love that.
Yeah, he might be walking, barely covering any ground, but his mere presence warps the entire defensive line.
Absolutely. Opposing holding midfielders are terrified to leave him alone.
Right.
So they gravitate toward him, which naturally rips open the space for the younger players to attack.
Wow.
It's an incredibly accurate way to visualize it. He forces defenses to constantly adjust to where he might receive the ball rather than where he is actually running.
That is so smart.
And what's fascinating here is why this heavily managed stationary role is so critical. It goes way beyond just managing his hamstring for a single
Oh,
game.
you're talking about the format change.
Exactly. We have to look at the structural changes to the tournament itself. We are dealing with the new 48-team expansion format.
Right, which fundamentally alters the mathematics of winning the whole thing. Because instead of the traditional path, there is an entirely new knockout round, the round of 32.
That extra round changes everything. It means a team has to play 8 games to win the title instead of 7.
That's brutal.
It's an extra 90 minutes and potentially an extra 120 minutes if it goes to extra time, squeezed into an already compressed month-long schedule.
Yeah.
The sheer physics of asking a late 30s hamstring to survive 8 international fixtures against elite athletes, it requires this exact tactical accommodation.
Right.
If they force him to run early in the tournament, he simply will not be on the pitch for the later rounds.
So they have built this intricate, custom-designed fortress around Messi to protect that hamstring.
Yes.
But as you dig deeper into the medical section of this scouting report, a completely different picture emerges.
A grim picture.
Yeah. It turns out that managing Messi's leg has sort of acted as a distraction. The real crisis isn't how to protect Messi. It's the fact that the players meant to do the protecting are breaking down. The medical room is overflowing.
It is genuinely alarming. The main obstacle to Argentina defending their title isn't a specific opponent, it's their own lack of fitness.
Yeah.
If we look at the back line, they are recovering from a brutal slate of late-season club injuries. Leonardo Balerdi has already been completely ruled out of the tournament with a soleus muscle tear suffered in training.
And he's just the start of the list. Their star goalkeeper, Emiliano Dibu Martinez, is managing a fractured right finger.
Which is crazy.
Right. Picture trying to parry a knuckleball traveling at 80 miles an hour with a broken finger.
Ouch.
Yeah. And then you look at the defense in front of him. Center back Christian Cuti Romero is rushing his recovery from a sprained collateral ligament in his right knee.
Yep.
And crucially, both of their primary fullbacks, Nahuel Molina and Gonzalo Montiel, are nursing active muscle and hamstring strains.
The situation with those fullbacks is where the tactical vulnerability becomes, frankly, critical.
Explain that.
Well, Argentina's attack system relies heavily on Molina and Montiel pushing very high up the pitch to provide width, especially since Messi is tucked inside, right?
They have to provide the width.
But if those fullbacks are carrying hamstring issues, they fundamentally lack the recovery speed to transition back on defense when possession is lost.
Okay, so let's put ourselves in the shoes of an opposing manager.
Okay.
I am reading this exact same scouting report. I see that Argentina's fullbacks are pushing high and they have bad hamstrings. Imagine building a fortress where the front gate is impenetrable, but the back walls are held together by duct tape.
Good analogy.
Right. If I'm an opposing coach looking at Molina and Montiel with bad hamstrings, aren't I just going to tell my fastest players to run at them all day? I mean, I'm going to bypass the center entirely where McAllister and DePaul are.
Absolutely. You would utilize a concept called overload to isolate.
Overload to isolate.
Okay. Yeah. An opponent will intentionally pack the left side of the pitch with players, forcing Argentina's narrow midfield structure to shift over to defend.
Right.
Once Argentina's pulled to the left, the opponent launches a massive 60-yard diagonal switch of play to a pacey winger stationed on the right sideline.
Oh, wow. And because Molina's hamstring is compromised, he can't sprint back in time to cover that winger.
Exactly.
Which means the winger is suddenly in acres of open space,
Yeah.
running directly at Christian Romero, who is trying to pivot and change direction on a sprained knee ligament.
That is the exact nightmare scenario for Scaloni.
Yeah.
The injuries aren't just an unlucky list of names. They represent a fundamental mechanical crack in the system.
Yeah.
An elite European or, a rapid African transition team will target those wide areas relentlessly.
Yeah, have to.
They will intentionally try to isolate Romero or his partner, Lisandro Martinez, forcing them to cover way more ground than their bodies can handle. And if either of those center backs tweaks an injury and has to be subbed out, the depth behind them is incredibly thin.
It really paints a very precarious picture. Which brings us to the ultimate path forward, right?
Yeah.
We are synthesizing a team that possesses immense tactical cohesion, a brilliant structural engine, and the psychological edge of being defending champions. But against a squad that is physically battered and structurally vulnerable to rapid counterattacks.
It's quite the paradox.
Exactly. So looking at their path, it starts in Group J against Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. How does the report project they handle that initial hurdle?
Despite the glaring physical vulnerabilities, the report does expect Argentina to navigate Group J and top the group comfortably.
Okay.
The sheer disparity in technical talent and their ability to dominate possession, it should be enough to dictate the pace of those early games. By holding the ball for 60 or 70% of the match, they can artificially limit the number of times their defense actually has to sprint back.
Right.
However, a team like Austria, who are known for relentless pressing, they might provide an early preview of how dangerous those transitions can be.
Yeah, but surviving the group stage by hoarding possession only gets you so far.
Right.
Once you enter the knockout gauntlet, you are facing teams that are perfectly comfortable letting you have the ball so they can spring a trap. The scouting report views Argentina as a guaranteed semifinalist, but they attach a massive bolded asterisk to that prediction.
A huge asterisk.
Yeah, two specific conditions absolutely must be met. First, Messi's hamstring must survive the increased match load. And second, the defensive partnership of Romero and Lisandro Martinez cannot sustain another injury.
If either of those pillars crumbles, the structural engine we discussed, it simply cannot compensate.
Wow.
But even if the defense and Messi stay fit, their ultimate success, whether they can actually navigate those final matches and lift the trophy, hinges entirely on the midfield.
Right.
We talked about how DePaul, McAllister, and Enzo Fernandez operate as the engine, while in the knockout stages against heavyweight teams like France, Germany, or Brazil, the speed of the game effectively doubles.
So what does this all mean? It reminds me of the classic corporate structure.
Okay, how so?
Well, whether you're managing a project at work or defending a World Cup, ultimate success often comes down to middle management.
Ah.
You have your CEO, Messi, who is absolutely brilliant, provides the grand vision, but requires highly specific protected conditions to operate.
Right.
Then you have your ground-level infrastructure, the defense, which is currently exhausted, overworked, and physically breaking down.
That's a great comparison.
So ultimate success in that environment almost entirely falls on the midfield. It's entirely about how well that middle management can translate the CEO's vision into attack while simultaneously running around with fire extinguishers to cover for the vulnerabilities of the ground floor.
This raises an important question, though. The physical and cognitive load on that middle management is just immense.
Yeah.
When you watch these knockout matches, keep your eyes on that central third of the pitch.
Yeah.
Watch DePaul dropping into a pseudo right-back position to cover for Molina. Watch McAllister organizing tactical fouls to stop a counterattack before it even reaches Romero. They must constantly maintain the shield around a stationary Messi while plugging the holes of a compromised backline against the most dangerous transition teams on the planet.
That's a lot.
It is. One missed rotation, one delayed reaction, and the opponent is through on goal.
It completely reframes how you watch a match, knowing the tactical tightrope they're walking right now.
Absolutely.
Let's quickly recenter on the journey we've taken through this scouting report. We started by looking at a defending champion that appeared flawless on the surface of a recent victory.
Yep.
But as we dug into the mechanics, we found a highly specific structural engine heavily reliant on a physically limited Lionel Messi. And beneath that, we uncovered a medical crisis in the defense, hamstrings, knees, and fractured fingers.
All the duct tape.
Right. And that provides a glaring tactical blueprint for elite opposition to exploit.
If there is a universal takeaway here, one that applies well beyond soccer, it is the absolute necessity of adaptation. Argentina cannot try to replicate their tactical approach from 4 years ago. The personnel has evolved, the bodies carry more miles.
They just do.
Right. Success requires recognizing the mechanical reality of your current situation and finding a way to win with the pieces you actually have rather than the pieces you wish you had.
You have to solve the puzzle in front of you today.
Exactly.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder as you watch the tournament kick off. We talked extensively about the new 48-team format and that extra round of 32.
Yeah, that huge change.
This expansion was fundamentally pitched by FIFA as a way to grow the global game, to bring more nations onto the biggest stage. But look at the mechanical impact it has on the pitch.
Right.
Could this exact structural change, adding an 8th grueling match to the schedule, be the exact thing that breaks defending champions who rely on aging, carefully managed legends?
Oh, wow.
Will the sheer volume of games become the ultimate equalizer in modern international soccer, heavily tilting the advantage toward deeper, more athletic squads?
It forces us to ask if the era of the managed veteran can even survive this new format. It is arguably the most critical underlying question of this entire World Cup.
It really is, and we are going to see it tested in real time. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the real mechanics of the defending champions. Keep questioning the scorelines, keep looking beneath the surface of the headlines, and enjoy the beautiful game.